Hello and welcome to another video from me, RAF Swordsman Wargamer. This time we're having a playthrough of RAF, The Battle of Britain, 1940 by Decision Games. This is the deluxe edition and it's designed by John Butterfield. We're doing the RAF Lion version, so we'll be playing as the RAF, and the scenario is The Hardest Days, which encompasses the first 4 raid days of the conflict. The board, as you can see, is rather large, so I may have to sort of move the camera about a bit and zoom in to different parts when I need to. The game is already set up for it. We've got our squadrons here and the Luftwaffe set up in Luftflotte 2 and Luftflotte 3 over there. This is as per the setup instructions in the rulebook. All the other bits and pieces are set up the top there, and the day token is on August the 11th. Over here we've got all the cards we're going to be using. I'll give them a shuffle in a minute and give you a quick overview of what they are. The first deck is the target deck, as you can see, and here we've got all the targets that the Luftwaffe are going to try and raid. And on the back here, this gives us, as the RAF, some idea where they may be planning to raid next. So we'll look at that, how that works with advance warning in a moment. So we give those a shuffle, pop those back. Here's the force deck, which tells us not only how many aeroplanes are in the raid, but what the makeup of the raid is. So we'll give those a shuffle. Here are the event cards, which we will pick a couple of times throughout the sequence of play, and it also tells us how much to advance the clock, if any. Good and bad things happen, normally bad. So we give those a shuffle. There we are. And the last deck here is the day deck, or the day card. And this is picked right at the end of the raid day and tells you what's happened, how many replacement points you get, what the event is, and how many days elapse until the next raid day. There we are. Now I won't be using any advanced rules or optional rules for this playthrough. I've only played it a couple of times, but I was very keen to get this one out and video because hopefully you'll agree that this is a cracking game. Oh, over here, coming back again, we have for RAF Lion, which is what we're doing, a sequence of play outline. Some people have commented that there isn't much information on this sequence of play, so you have to keep referring backwards and forwards to the rulebook. But thank goodness for Stuka Joe, because he's designed a sequence of play deck which you can download from Board Game Geek, and I'll leave a link in the description for that, and that will talk you through, if you like, the whole sequence of play. You have to, of course, know the rules, but it saves you going backwards and forwards to the rule book. Now, this is the deluxe edition, and I'm not sure, but there may have been some rule tweaks in this edition as opposed to the edition that came out when Stuka Joe designed this pack. So if there are any differences which I miss, please point them out, because it will help me and anybody else that wants to download the deck to help them through the game. I think we're ready. So we'll pick the first card. And it says repair. And also says skip on the first day of the scenario, because this is done at the beginning of each raid day to repair light damage markers that may well be on the map, and you can attempt to repair heavy damage markers. So for this day it doesn't apply. Next card. Time of day. We've got to draw the top card of the raid event deck and see what any time advance occurs. Here we are, and the top number is time advance 2. So we go to the clock and advance the timer 2 spaces. Let's have a look at that. Here's the clock track, and each day will start at 0600 hours, and our event card said to advance the time by 2. So here we go, 1, 2, it is now 1000 hours. And we can draw the next card. Next card. Weather forecast. Roll 1 die and consult the weather table to determine today's weather in Luftflotte 2 and 3 weather areas. Right, let's do that. Here we go. Oh, we get a 2. And if you look on the chart there, it says for Luftflotte 2 area, it is clear, and for Luftflotte 3, patchy cloud. So we'll pop on one of those onto the Luftflotte 3 weather space. The default weather is clear, so we don't have to do anything for Luftflotte 2. Right, we'll draw the next card. And it is night patrol assignment, but it is an optional rule which we are not using, so we can ignore that one and take the next card, which is advanced warning. Skip this step if 2 or more radar nets are damaged. No, they're not. We've just started. Or the time advance result on the event card drawn in step 2 reads no advance warning. No, it didn't. So what we'll have to do now is pull the top card from the target deck and place it face down next to the other one on top, and this is our sort of advance warning, if you like, to see what the next 2 possible raids are. So you can see this one is Luftflotte South, Luftflotte 2 South, sorry, and this is a Luftflotte 2 South as well. So 2 possible raids coming in to the same area. Next. Squadron patrol assignment. This is now where we take in this information, and we're going to place squadrons in their sector that are in sectors on patrol by moving them to the patrol circle. So we'll do that. So here we are looking at the southeast part of merry old England, and up here, by the way, you can just see there's the clear weather for Luftflotte 2, which is unfortunate, and just about see up there, I've put the patchy clouds on Luftflotte 3 weather space. So possible raid coming to the south. Now here you can see, hopefully, there's a little southeast divide line, and Luftflotte 2 is this here. So we're possibly going to have a raid in this sort of area. So we have to decide which squadrons we're going to put on patrol just in case. So what to do? Now, I warn you, as I say, I've only played this a couple of times. So you may not agree with my tactics, but as I always say, the idea of these playthroughs is not an in-depth tactical masterclass. It's to show you sort of outline of the game and me having a bit of fun. So having said that, what are we going to do? Well, they're coming in, as I say, Luftflotte 2 in the south, so I think we'll put Squadron 74 Spitfires here. We'll put Hurricane Squadron 501 on patrol here. Could be any of these, couldn't it? One here, one here. You can also put squadrons in patrol on adjacent sectors if they have a common sort of side. So we could put this one Squadron number 1, Hurricane, patrolling in London. And that may well allow us to intercept raiders as they come in. But we'll see. So, I think that's it. Next. Raid target determination. Reveal the target card pulled during the advance warning step. Yep. And we've got to see what it is and if it's a minor or major raid. Right. So the card, here's the card. And it is Rochester, Kent. Where we put that there? Rochester. It's located in 611, sector 611 group. In here. There it is, covered up by the Spitfire. There we are. Now what does it say on this card? Well, it says it's on the coast, yeah. It's industry. Oh, I put it on the wrong thing then. There we are, it should be there. Beg your pudding. That's Hornchurch. So it's industry. It's got a strategic value of 1. The ME-109s can reach it because they do have a limit to their raids, of course. The Observer Corps values are here. We'll look at those in a moment. The info in the yellow box is what concerns us. They're en route, of course, to 611, but in range of 511, 711 and London. So in theory, 511, 711 and London, which have, that doesn't have one on patrol, does it? Could reach it. So we'll see what happens. So we've got to see if it's a minor or major raid. So here we are on the German raid priority table. Rochester, industry and a strategic value of 1. So when you set the game up, you give priorities to the certain things here. So cities and industry have a low priority, airfields have a medium priority, and high priority are ports and radar. These can change, of course, as we go through the raid days, but for now, industry is at low, and it's a strategic value of 1. And as you can see, there's nothing there. And on the card, it says, if no raid results, draw another target card until a minor or major raid results from it. Right, so we have to draw another target card. That's the other Luftflotte 2 one. Where's that? Biggin Hill, Kent again. This time it's an airfield. Strategic value of 3. So, that is, if I can get there without too much jiggery-pokery, is here. We've got somebody in the patrol box there at least. Right. Let's see if it's a major or minor raid. Airfields, as you can see, are medium priority. We have a strategic value of 3. We're going to get a major or minor raid anyway. Let's see what it is. It's a 2. And that is a minor raid. Okay. So next card. British detection. Roll a die and refer to the detection track to determine the intelligence and warning levels for this raid. Apply the modifiers listed on the track. Right. That's up there. Raid detection track. Oops. Can't get in anymore. There we go. So, hope you can see it. It says here, we've got to add together the modifiers, then roll a die. The modifiers for RAF Lion only. It says at the top, major raid +3. Well, no, it's a minor raid, so we can't use that. It is not a follow-up raid, no. And this is to do with depletion levels, which doesn't apply yet. Here we've got modifiers for both games. It says add the target card's Observer Corps value for the current weather. So here, you can see the Observer Corps values. The weather in Luftflotte 2 is clear. And here you can see 3 values. 1 for clear, 1 for patchy cloud, and 1 for broken cloud. Well, it's clear, so we add 5. And it says add 2 for each radar net listed on the target card. At the moment, all radar nets are tickety-boo, so we can add 2 for each one of those, and we've got 4 and 5. And just to show you, there they are. 4 Beachy Head, 5 Rye. So we're adding a total of 5 for the observer core and 4 for the 2 radar nets, 9. Now we throw a die and add that on. We get a 3. Oops. So 3 plus the 9 from the modifiers is 12. So our detection for this raid is, whoops, here. And it says up there, it is sufficient warning, but limited intelligence. Next, another card. Poor intelligence. Well, if we had poor intelligence, we would now use this card, but we don't. We have limited intelligence, so we can put that back. And we try again. And it says raid size determination. Draw a false card to determine the number of Gruppen in this raid. So let's get back to the map bit. Here we are, so we're going to draw the top false card, which will tell us how many are in this minor raid. And we get 1. Not so bad. 1 raider in this attack on Biggin Hill. Next card. Limited intelligence. This concerns us because we've got limited intelligence. We've got to commit squadrons now, but we can only commit squadrons depending on the warning level. The warning level is sufficient, so we can commit squadrons that are on patrol in the en route part of the card, Biggin Hill, and those that are on the ground, if you like, available. They haven't taken off yet. There's sufficient warning for us to do that. We can't use any others in any other squadrons that are in range. So, on the card here, en route, those in 711, the actual sector they're attacking, and London. So we could, it's only going to be one bandit, if you like. So we could use the one that's up flying in Sector 7, Group 11, the 501 Hurricane Squadron. We'll use that, and we're going to pop that in the hump box, which we'll show you in a moment. And I think we'll take this one as well in London. Number 1 Squadron. So we've got 2 squadrons there in the hump box, and we now pick the next card. Raid deployment. Draw another false card, select Gruppen from air bases and deploy them in the raid display. Right. So the next false card is taken. We turn it over. There's only 1 in it, and it's an ME-109. Oh, but it's a minor raid. It's a sweep. And that means we add an extra 2 ME-109s to that raid. Crikey. Yeah, just checking up on it. You don't get them very often. So we had a minor raid of 1. And then we drew to see what the makeup of that raid was. And we got this. So we've got 1 coming over, plus another 2 it says here. So we've got 3 aircraft coming over, and they are ME-109s. So 3 ME-109s. Dear oh dear, we've only got 2 squadrons. Anyway, we'll pick the ME-109s. That's where we take them from. And on them, whoops. If you can see, there's a letter here, A, and the rules suggest that you take, if there's more than 1, you take a sort of equal amount. So if you have to have 3 ME109s don't pick all A's, you'll pick one of each, which is what we'll do. So there's one. We'll take a B and a C. Next card. See how easy it is with these cards. Well, not so easy. Less stress. Accurate intelligence. No, well, we didn't have accurate intelligence. We've already done that, so we can put that away and draw the next card. And it says Hunter Interception. So now we have to go down to the hunt box. Here we are in the raid display, and specifically the hunt box. And this is where Messerschmitt 109s tend to sit to fight off the RAF before they have a chance to get to the bombers, which would be in this part of the box. There might also be some close escorts here protecting the bombers, but for now we've got this ME109 sweep. So on the card it tells you what to do, but it is repeated here. So we just have to look. No Gruppen in hunt box, no. Gruppen less than squadrons, no. Gruppen greater than or equal to squadrons, yes. All the squadrons have to stay in the hunt box. This fend evade is an advanced rule, I believe, so we're not using that. So that's that done. Raid approach event. Draw an event card and carry out the approach event if applicable. Refer to the event summary for a full explanation of the event. Oh, just before I do that, forgot to say, it doesn't apply normally, but it says ME109s, yes, that means the ME109s are in range. If they weren't, if it said no, then we'd have to use Messerschmitt 110s instead. Right, raid approach event. We take the top card of the event deck. Here we are. And we're going to look at this bit, because it's an approach event. A means all games, whether or not it's Lion, Eagle or two-player. German altitude advantage, if any of the following apply. No or late warning. No, we had sufficient warning. Poor intelligence. No, we had limited intelligence. Reduced squadron in the hunt box. No, they're all full. Prior to September the 1st, yes. So that means the Germans get an altitude advantage. What's that mean, RAF, you say? Well, in the rulebook, they tell you what all the raid approach events are. And we've got German altitude advantage. And I shall read it for you. It says, if one or more of the conditions on the event card apply, which they did, the German side receives an advantage in both the hunter attack and squadron attack steps of the current raid. Well, there won't be a squadron attack step because that applies to bombers, and there are none, but it will apply to this. When resolving combats, refer to the lettered row of the combat results table, one above the calculated row. Right, that's not good for us, and we'll show you what that is in a mo. Okay, next card. We put that there to remind us. Hunter attack. Add the combat rating of all squadrons and Gruppen in the hunt box, and count the number of Gruppen only, and locate the column in the column results table. Right, we'll do that. So here is the combat values for the RAF, and it's here on the right hand side of the letter for the Gruppen. As you can see, it's 0, but we've got 6, and there are 3 Gruppen in the attack. So we have to look up on this combat results table, number of Gruppen in combat is 3, and the total value was 6. So we move down, and we are on C. But because of their altitude advantage, we move up 1 to B. And we'll be right back because I'm just about to run out of memory. See you in a bit. Right, welcome back. So what were we doing? We were looking at the combat results table. We had 6 value of combat points there, none for the ME109s. there are 3 Gruppen in the combat. So we looked up, didn't we? 3, and we worked down to 6. There we are, row C. But we have to go up 1 because of the altitude advantage. So they're on row B. We now throw a die and see what we get. 6. So, row B. There we go. This is the combat results. We threw a 6, and this little box is for the Germans. This little box is for the British. And on the 6, we can see the ME-109s that have A on them will get a D result. So will the Bs, and the Cs will get an A. What's that mean? Well, on the back, it will tell you units in hunt box. Full group. Ds go to in-flight. As are aborted to in-flight reduced. Right. So we've got an A and a B which go over here to the in-flight box. That means we've shooed them off and they're in the process of flying home. C gets an abort and they go to the flight box but reduced. So we turn it over. And there we are. That will have significance to do with how quick it can get back into service. Right, we don't get away scot-free. We have to look up what happens to our squadrons. So on row B, number 6, those with A on them abort, those with B on them abort, and Cs will get L, which is light damage. We haven't got any Cs, we've just got As and Bs here. And they abort. And for full squadrons in the hunt box, in flight reduced. So here we go. And again, that will lengthen the time it takes for them to get back to their airfield and be operational again. But we didn't lose anyone, so that's good. That we can get rid of. So our first raid wasn't even a bombing raid, it was just a ME-109 sweep, which wasn't successful. Our boys saw them off. That's it. Next card. Raid target event. I think we still draw this, even though there isn't a raid. We've got rid of it. Let's see what it says. We take another card from the top of the event deck. And it is, and this time we're looking at the bottom bit here, the target event. Low level bombers, shift, there's no bombers. So that's all right. But what is important, the reason I think we have to draw one, is because of this. This will tell us whether or not the clock up at the top there advances or not. And you do need it to advance so you can get your planes back. Otherwise, if it doesn't, they keep raiding and your squadrons get less and less. Anyway, so we'll keep that handy to remind us. So Biggin Hill was saved a sweep attack and the clock will advance 1 space. Right, let's take another card. Squadron Intercept. No, none of these are going to apply because there were no bombers. Squadron Attack. No. When we go through the next raid, we can go through it quicker. I'll just tell you what's going on. Just wanted you to see the deck and how handy it is. Next one, Bombardment. No, there weren't any bombers. So, next card, German Recovery. Move Gruppen from in-flight box as follows. Bombers go to air bases where there weren't any. Full fighters to clock 3 spaces ahead. So we've got a couple of those. And it says reduced fighters to clock 4 spaces ahead and flipped to full strength. So let's go and look at the clock. So here's the here's the 2 full strength Gruppen, and they go 3 spaces ahead, 1, 2, 3. And when the clock moves around to that time, they can go back into service. The reduced one is flipped to its full side and goes 4 spaces ahead. 2, 3, 4. There we are. Now we take the next card. Clock update. If the marker advanced 1 or 2 spaces along the clock, go to the next card. So we're going to move it along. If you remember, it said 1 clock, time advance 1. So we move that along 1 to 12 o'clock, 1200 hours, there we go. And now, German fighter turnaround. This says that if there are any German Gruppen in the clock space where the token is, they can be moved back to their fighters, to their fighter designations. But no, nothing there. Any bombers, by the way, if this was a bombing raid, the bombers wouldn't go back to the clock. They'd go back to their space on the board, but turned upside down on their reduced side to remind us that they can't be used for a bombing raid for the remainder of the raid day. Okay, next. Squadron turnaround. Right, we can sort these out now. It's all on the card, but what we've got to remember is it advanced 1 space. So down here it will tell you what to do with these aircraft. We're on the 1 time advance, so I'll just read it out for you. It says rearm, go to sector. So any that are here in the rearm part of the tote board, our squadrons, can now rejoin their sector. If they're at land, they go to rearm, so they're sort of moving up, ready to go back to their sector. Patrol, rearm. Now, we did have some that were on patrol. Here's one, and that's 611, Sector 6, Group 11. So we look along here, find it, and it goes to the rearm. So it's not available yet. Same with this one. This is 211. Any others I've missed? Oh, one here. There we are. 111. There we go. I think that's it. Biggin Hill was spared. Next, full in-flight to rearm. These are in flight, but they're reduced. So we go down to the next one. Reduced in flight, it says. Land, flipped to full. So we can flip these. Oh, there we are, thank you. And these can go to land, 311 there, and 711 there. And that's it. Next, advanced warning. Skip this step if 2 or more radar nets. No. And the time advance didn't say no AW on it. No. So we get our advanced warning again. So back quickly to the target deck. Here we are. So the next raid is possibly from Luftflotte 2 attacking the south. So we do the advanced warning. Oh, it's the same again. They do like to attack the south. So our next 2 possible raids are from Luftflotte 2 attacking the south. Okay, back to the map. Next card. Squadron Patrol Assignment. So place squadrons on the patrol circle of their sector or an adjacent sector. This doesn't apply yet, 1800 hours and all that. So like before, they're going to be coming from Luftflotte 2 to the south, so they'll be attacking this lot. But as you saw, this sector could have done something. We didn't need it, we were lucky. But that's we need to bear that in mind. So again, we'll pop one here. One here. We're now out of squadrons from 711. One here. And I think one here, just in case. And one here. And one here. I don't know if it's any good. That's an adjacent one. Let's see if that does any good. Next, it says at the bottom here, go to step 7, raid target determination and conduct another raid. Right, so we reset the deck. Here's number 7. We pop those on the top of the deck and that one face up and we start again. Raid determination. We'll see what it is. We take the card, and it is Farnborough. Right, I'll pop that there just for a sec. It's a city. It's also where I used to go and see air shows as a kid. But they're saying it's a city. It's where I saw my first lightning fly over me when I was a lad. So, city, strategic value of 1. We've got to see if it's a major or minor raid. Farnborough has a strategic value of 1. It's a city. But as you can see, there is nothing here on the chart. So that means we've got to pick another target card until one is shown to be a minor or major raid. So we take from the top of the deck, and it's the other Luftflotte 2 South card, and it is Dover. This is a port, strategic value of 3. Right. And Dover is just over there. There we are. Now, as Dover has a strategic value of 3 and it's a port, as you can see, we're going to get a major result. So we know this is a major raid. We now see what our detection is. So using the table here, a major raid +3. It's not a follow-up raid or any depletion levels apply. So +3. Modifiers for both games. Add the target card's observer core value for the current weather. The current weather is clear. The observer core value, as you can see on the left hand side, is 1. So that's 4. And each undamaged radar net listed on the target card. So what we got? We've got radar nets 5 and 6, which are undamaged. So that's 2 each for a total of 8. We throw the die. And we get a 5 for a total of 13. Warning early, but intelligence is poor. Next, poor intelligence. We now have to commit our squadrons. So, back to the map. So, poor intelligence means we have to commit our squadrons in the sectors listed in the target card's yellow box there. So, en route 611, and in range 511 and 711. Now, if we look on the card here, we have, I'm getting focused, there we are, early, means we can use those that are en route, on patrol and on the ground, and those in range on patrol. Right, so 611, we can definitely use that one. That's a Spitfire Squadron 54 to the hunt box. 511, we got those 2 there, which I put there just for that reason. And 711, that's 4, 32 Squadron of Hurricanes. Now, do we use this one? It will mean that we won't have any squadrons in that sector. We do have one coming back if the clock moves at the end of this raid. Well, let's leave it like that. Let's hope we're lucky and see what we get. Next, we have to determine the raid size. So we take the top card of the force deck. It's a major raid. It's 9 planes coming in. Next is limited intelligence. Now we've done that. So now we have to see what that raid is made up of. So take another force card. There we are, 9. So those are the 9 planes that make up this raid. What I'll do is I'll sort them out and we'll head over to the raid display. There we go, taking the first 9 planes off of that card. I've put them on the raid display, and you can see at the moment we've only got a couple of hunters to deal with. 4 bombers in the bomber box, 3 HE-111s and a Junkers 88. ME-110s go usually in the close escort box here. So they will be guarding the bombers, and we have a ME-109 in the channel patrol box, which, unless we get an event card, will stay there and is just protecting the bombers' route home. So there we are. Next, it's if we have accurate intelligence. No, we've done that. Now it's Hunter Interception. Grouping are less than the squadrons, so we can move excess full squadrons to the bomber box if we wish. Now, I have seen this, that some people will leave the whole amount of squadrons in the hunt box to get a nice high score on the combat results table. But the problem with that, there's a chance that if these throw badly and get disrupted or they abort, we could lose some of the squadrons to tackle the bombers. So I'll err on the side of caution and move 2 squadrons up here, Spitfire and a Hurricane squadron, leaving the 2 to cover these 2. Next is the raid approach event. So we take the top card of the event deck and look at the top bit there. Approach event. ME-109's close escort. Move all B Messerschmitt 109 Gruppen from the hunt and in-flight boxes to the close escort box. Right. Well, there aren't any, just A's and C's. Next, we attack. We've got a total of 6, 3 and 3. There are 2 Gruppen in the hunt box. So looking on the combat results table here, 2 Gruppen. There's no depletion. Move down to here. We're on row D. We throw a die. We get a 4. And we do the Messerschmitts first. Where are we? D, 4. B's and C's. B's are light loss. A's are abort. No effect for this one, but this one aborts, and abort in the hunt box, just to show you again, is to in-flight reduced. There we are. There's no result for this one here. A no result goes to close escort. Up it goes. Not so good for us though. Sorry for the continuity glitch there, but I was happily recording away, going through the sequence of play, and when I looked at the video, some of it hadn't recorded, and it stopped just at the point where we were about to do the result of combat to our Hurricanes. So we threw a 4, we were on row D, and if we look at the combat results table, D4, light loss to those marked A, and abort for B. Right, C gets nothing. Oh, look at that. I'm glad I threw the die before the video went kaput. So, nothing happens to those. And these can now join the ones in the bomber box. Right, next. Raid target event. I reshuffled the remainder of the decks anyway, to try and keep it above board. So let's see what we get. Interception over coast. If the raid warning is none or late. No, our warning was early, so we can ignore that. But we have to keep this to one side because it will tell us how many spaces to advance the timer. And there's no early warning. Right. Next then. Squadron Interception. Well, as you can see, there are 4 RAF planes and 4 Luftwaffe planes, and it says if the squadrons are greater than or equal to the Gruppen in the bomber box. All Gruppen in bomber box and close escort are intercepted. So all of these. So we're going to add up all the planes in the bomber box. That includes the close escort. Squadron attacks. So we now add them up. 18, 23, 24, 25, and 13. It's 38, is that right? 38. There are 7 Gruppen in the combat. So, 7. There we go, 38. We are on row F. We now throw a die. 6. Don't know if that's good or bad, but for the bombers, we'll do those first. On row F we have the A's are aborting, so are the B's, and the C's light loss. So in the bomber box, full group, the aborts go to in-flight reduced, light loss to the light loss box, and we get a +1 victory point. So A's abort, B's abort, and go to the in-flight reduced. There we are. 1, 2, and the C goes to the light loss box, and we get a victory point. Close escort. Same thing, A's abort, B's abort, C's light loss. So if we look on the close escort box, table, full group, they also go to the in-flight box reduced. There we are. The one in the channel patrol box now has nothing to guard because their job, as I say, is to escort the bombers back home. So he toodles off to the in-flight box as well. Now we see what happens to the RAF. So on F, for the Brits, A's get an abort and C's get a disrupt. And for a disrupt in the bomber box for squadrons and abort, it's in-flight reduced. So this one, well, it's just that one. In-flight reduced, the rest go to the in-flight box. Next would be bombardment, but there's no bombers, thank goodness. German recovery. Right, let's sort this out. All German bombers will go back to their respective Luftflotte, reduced, telling us they can't be used for the remainder of this raid day, and the fighters will go back on the clock. 3 spaces if they're a full group, 4 spaces if they are reduced. So let's do that. Yes, I know, I forgot. The C's should have been reduced. So there we are. All the bombers will go back to their respective Luftflottes, reduced, and can't be used for the remainder of the raid day. So let's do that. So the 2 HE-111s go back reduced, and the Junkers 88 goes back as well reduced. And that's that. Next, the fighters. And the fighters go back onto the clock, 3 ahead of the time for this one and 4 ahead for these. The ME-109 goes back 1, 2, 3 here. And the other 4 are flipped to their full side and go back 4 spaces. However, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the end of the day. So they go back to their Luftflotte reduced. And again, that signifies that they can't be used for the remainder of the raid day. And there we are. Next, it's a clock update. And if you remember from our event card, it's going to go forward 1 space. And just to remind us, there's no advance warning next time. It is now 1400 hours. The next card is German fighter turnaround. But there are no fighters on the same space as the time counter. Next, it's the Squadron turnaround. The clock had 1 time advance, so we'll be using this. Rearm, go to sector. So we've got 3 of those. 111, 211, 611. Land, move up to rearm. Here we go. Patrol, go to rearm. So we've got a couple of those here. We've got 1 here. 211. 111. Is that it? You've got to be a bit careful. Stuka Joe used little glass cubes, which made them stand out a bit better. I'll have to rely on my dodly old eyes. So I think that's it. Full in flight rearm. No, we've only got reduced. Reduced in flight, land, flipped to full. So I'll just do those. And there we are. Right, the next card should be Advance Warning, which we haven't got, but I think we'll leave it there. It's gone on long enough, I think, and we'll see what happens in part 2 of the video. I'll tell you what, I think we've been very lucky, but we do have quite a few squadrons out of action while they land and get rearmed before they're put back in their sectors. And Sector 7 of Group 11, we haven't got anything at all. So we'll see what happens there. And we've also been lucky with the event cards and the time moving along. There's plenty of cards in that event deck, believe me, that say 0 time movement, which means the pesky Luftwaffe keep on coming across and you have less and less fighters to deal with them. But the 2 raids that did come across were unsuccessful for the Germans, so we can be thankful for that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have. This is a great game. So, this has been part 1 of a playthrough of RAF, The Battle of Britain, 1940. Published by Decision Games and designed by the one and only John Butterfield. If you have enjoyed it, it'll be great if you consider subscribing to the channel, pushing the like button of the video and the bell. As I say, that'll tell you when I upload other videos. And share and leave a comment by all means, even if it's to say you made a bit of a misplay there, Ruff, or just to say you enjoyed it. That'd be nice. And as always, a big thank you to those that have already subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. If you like what I do and you want to show your appreciation, well, you can. You can buy me a coffee. Doesn't cost much. And believe me, it does help the channel to keep uploading content. If you wish to do that, I'll leave a link in the description. And thank you very much. So, until next time, you take care and goodbye.